Guys, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we are looking at the NBA slate. It is Monday. We have game number 4 of the Miami Heat Boston Celtics series. Celtics looking to tie it 2 apiece after losing game number 3 at home. As you can see, there's a lot of questionable pieces. The Miami Heat injury report has always been filled throughout the postseason for no reason. Only a couple of guys might need to be on there, like Kyle Lowry because he's missed some games. Maybe Jimmy Butler after what happened last game, but Butler's expected to play. Lowry should play after playing last game and playing pretty well. Hero should play. All these guys should play on Miami side. I don't know why they have guys like Strus listed as questionable when there has been no risk of him missing. And then on the Boston side, I expect everybody to play as well, especially Tatum. Smart. Only guy that might be somewhat questionable is like Robert Williams because he's missed multiple games this playoffs, missed last game, and it was a big factor not having Williams there. His presence makes it a lot more difficult for the Miami Heat players to drive into the rim, drive to the basket with his defensive presence, and it led to Bam Adebayo just absolutely feasting. The Celtics made a poor decision starting Daniel Tice instead of Grant Williams, and it led to them being down big early on in the game. So hopefully, if Robert Williams does happen to miss, they actually start the guy that actually can play some good defense in Grant Williams, and they just slide Horford to the 5. But let's go ahead and get started. As always, if you guys enjoy the videos, I appreciate it for the like button for me. Subscribe if you haven't already. You can check out all the other socials down below in the description, Twitter, website, the Prizepicks code. We'll go Draftkings. I'll give you guys a couple of prize picks. Right now, the board isn't fully updated with all these questionable pieces, so I have a couple that I think look appealing, and then I'll post some more on Twitter once we get like these Miami role players in, once we get the Boston role players in, and then we'll go touch on Fanduel at the end. So today, on your captain spot, I think Jaylen Brown, Tatum are your 2 best options. I think Butler definitely would have been in consideration, but now he might be a little bit scary if that knee happens to kind of worsen on him again. Hopefully that's not the case, and hopefully he's able to play the full game. But looking at Tatum, he had one of his worst games of the postseason last time out. Actually, the second time in the playoffs where he's struggled poorly. Last time he struggled was against Milwaukee, where he shot 4 of 19, and then the next game he bounced right back with 30-13. And in this one, after dropping just 10, 6, and 4 on 3 of 14 shooting, and playing 41 minutes at home at least, I'm expecting Tatum to bounce back here. He typically does have that bounce back ability, and after having such a poor game with people talking about him and his play, I expect Tatum to go right back to maybe having a monster game, one of his best games in the playoffs potentially, giving you over 25, probably over 30 points, and a lot of rebounds and some peripheral stats. So I don't mind going with Tatum at your captain, but I also like Jaylen Brown a bit. He is $1,800 cheaper. He's played well. The only problem with him has been the turnovers. I mean, last game it was somewhat embarrassing watching him just get the ball taken away by Victor Oladipo at least 3 or 4 times, maybe even 5 times. He lost the ball, and basically for like no reason he just wasn't able to dribble. I mean, he has very limited dribbling abilities, so I've heard. He's a great shooter. He can get you a lot of rebounds. He's a good dunker, good finisher at the rim, but for some reason, he struggles dribbling when he has a decent defender on him. But he's played well in this series, 45, 40, 55. If Tatum had a somewhat okay game, like even if Tatum didn't shoot as awful as he did, the Celtics could have won that game. Just way too many turnovers, and Brown played really well with 40 points. But I'm looking to play both Brown and Tatum here. I think you definitely can get to Butler as well if you wanted to. You do have more value on this type of board compared to yesterday's game, but we'll see. Butler looks okay at 10-6. Adebayo is kind of dependent on Robert Williams news for me. If Williams plays, I don't really want to play Adebayo. He played a lot better when he was going up against Daniel Tice last game, at least to start, and that kind of got him going for the rest of the way. And he didn't have Jimmy Butler in the whole second half, so he got some more offensive opportunities. But if Butler's should play the full game, if he's good to go, which looks like hopefully he is. Smart at 86, he looks appealing as well, but now that the gap has widened a little bit between him and Horford, if there is no Robert Williams, I look to Horford at 74. And Strus is now more expensive than Tyler Hero, which last game he was cheaper than him. I went with, I believe it was like $200 separated between these two, and I believe I went with Strus because he was a little bit cheaper, but Hero's struggling this series. At 62, he's still a pretty good cheap price tag. Now that he's cheaper than Lowry and cheaper than even Robert Williams. Derek White, $5,400. He only played like 10 minutes or 14 minutes last game. He's been so bad offensively. he gives you some good defense, but 0 of 2, 1 of 4, 1 of 10. If you add that all up, that's like 2 of 16, 12.5% shooting in last 3 games for him, going back to the Bucks series that he's played in at least. So 54. He's kind of expensive. I'd rather go to Grant Williams, who's playing 30-plus minutes a night, up to like 35, depending on Robert Williams' news. He can hit the 3. He gets you some rebounds. He can get you some defensive stats here. So I was going to take another Boston Celtic. It would be Grant Williams. Pritchard at 5K looks okay as well, but he only played 13 minutes with Derek White coming back, so we'll see. They'll probably split those minutes a little bit. Maybe if one is playing a lot better than the other, they'll go to that guy. But I like Tucker at only 42. I mean, he plays massive minutes, even though sometimes he can get banged up. But he's a tough guy. He's not typically going to sit out, except for that one game where he did leave and didn't return. But he came right back and played 38 minutes, got you 7 rebounds, got you 17 points, which is a very anomaly. But you can chalk that up to not having Jimmy Butler, having a very poor game from Tyler Hero, and they just needed somebody else to step up in the second half because they didn't have their playmakers. So at 42, though, I still like Tucker. And Oladipo played really good defense on Jaylen Brown in just 20 minutes. He had 4 steals. He's not a very good shooter, as you can tell by his game logs. Looking at the season, he's shooting 33% from 3, 42% from the floor. He can hit his free throws. He does like to drive and get to the free throw line. He's gotten 5 and 9. He's got 5 and 10 free throw attempts last couple of games. So I don't mind Oladipo at 44. I probably like Tucker just with the way more minutes that Tucker's going to play. And then all the way at the bottom, you have Caleb Martin, who plays about like 10 or so minutes off the bench, can get up to 15. At this price tag, I mean, he's fine if you need just a cheap punt play. He worked out last game if you played him at only $1,000, and then Tice, I have no interest in playing him at $1,200. Played 10 minutes, didn't give you a basket, only had 1 or 2 free throws, got you 3 rebounds. If Rob Williams is in, then he's not going to play at all. And that's basically it. You have Deadman at $1,800, but he only played a few minutes last game, and they can easily go to Tucker if they wanted to go to a small ball center. So if we go something like this, we have about almost 10,000 left for the last couple spots. We can get to Jimmy Butler here, and we can get to Bam Adebayo. So this is a little bit more Miami-filled with 4 Miami Heat players here, but we do have a couple of the big dogs from the Boston side with Jaylen Brown and Tatum. So that's definitely fine. Wanted to do something like that. You can flip-flop Tatum and Brown if you wanted to give yourself a little bit less flexibility. And then here, you can go with Horford, just so you still get to Butler, Caleb Martin, and Tucker, and then you have Tatum, Brown, and Al Horford. If there is no Robert Williams, then this is definitely something that I think I would go with. So for me, I'm looking at either Tatum or Jaylen Brown as my captains, filling it out with some of the value on the Miami side at least. I like Tucker's value. I like Caleb Martin's value. Gabe Vincent looks okay at 46, but now that they got Lowry back, they're not going to play Lowry and Gabe Vincent together because they're both about like 6 foot or so it's going to be very tough for them to rebound the ball, and just the size difference will probably not make them do that, and the Celtics could attack them, even though they are good defenders. But that's what I got for the Draftkings side. Let's go ahead and touch on a couple of Prizepicks plays. So right now, like I was saying, only a couple that I'm going to post because the board isn't fully updated. We only have 7 guys to pick from on the points board. Once they have the guys like Strus, once they have Hero, all these guys, Art Williams if he's in, Al Horford, he's already in, but all the other role players, it'll be easier to navigate. In terms of the points board, I do like Tatum at 26.5, taking the over there. Bam is going to be dependent on Robert Williams. If he's in, I could take the under 16.5 there. I like the over 24.5 on Jaylen Brown, and I like the over 14.5 on Marcus Smart, but I like his PRA as well. The assist board, Jimmy Butler is pretty low at only 4, but now that Lowry's back, he does take on more ball handling a little bit and will take some of the assists that Butler would have gotten. Tatum's not been hitting his assists recently. He's been looking for a shot more, so 5 isn't the best number. If it was 4.5, maybe a little bit easier to stomach. Bam at 2.5, only had that one big game last time out. Otherwise, he hasn't been assisting very much, so don't have much confidence in that one. I do like Marcus Smart because he's always looking for his assists, looking to get his teammates involved. 6.5 is another good number, but compared with his points, assist, his rebounding numbers only at 4. I'll take all those combined and take the PRA for Marcus Smart, but I like the over 6.5 rebounds for Jaylen Brown. He's been really aggressive getting getting rebounds and crashing the glass on both sides, offense and defense, especially defensively. 9, 8, 10, 8, and then 5. 6.5 against a Miami team that you're going to need these like guards and these wings to rebound, just with Bam and Butler and all those guys that will rebound. So I like Brown at 6.5. Surprising because Tatum is only at 6, but Brown has been the guy that they've been kind of just letting rebound more than Tatum in this series. And then I don't really want to go with Horford at 9. It's going to be dependent on the Robert Williams news. And then points, rebounds, assists. I like Marcus Smart 25.5. He's been doing a bit of everything for the Celtics in the playoffs, even with dealing with a bit of an injury in the second half last game. He still produced 27. So he hasn't dropped under 25 in 4 games in a row, and playing monster minutes, probably playing over 40 with the Celtics needing to win this one pretty badly. So taking the over 25.5, over 6.5 rebounds, and then I like Tatum 37.5. He's not going to have 2 poor games in a row at home, I would say. So I like the overs on his points prop. I like the overs on his fantasy prop once that gets released. But I'm taking the over on his PRA because I expect Jason Tatum to come back and really put his mark on this game. So those are 3 that I will start with, and then I'll post another 1 or 2 once we get the rest of the board updated. But let's go ahead now and touch on FanDuel. Okay, so on FanDuel, you have Butler as your most expensive piece, so I'm not looking at that. I'm looking at either Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown at home. Celtics expected to win this game. I mean, it's been a bit tough to pick winners with the Mavs losing last game, and then the Heat winning in Boston, and then Boston winning in Miami in Game 2. Been a bit tough in the Eastern Conference Finals, but this one, I do expect the Celtics to win. Hopefully, they are able to come through today. Yeah, give me Tatum. I think you can go with both Celtics in your MVP and star spot if you wanted to, or you can put in Jimmy Butler here at 15.5. I mean, this will be a bit different, but because I do expect people to put in Butler in their star position instead. But if you put him in your pro, then you're probably going to be less likely to tie with a lot of people. But Brown and Tatum, I expect both to have pretty big games today, especially Tatum to bounce back. So if we do go with all 3 of these, you only have 77.50. But unlike yesterday's slate, we have a lot of value down here below 8,000 and 9,000. Like you have Max Strus right at 9K, who's been doing good things for the Miami Heat. You have Oladipo at 85, but you have Tucker at 8,000. Even if you put in Tucker here, you have $7,500 left. You can put in Payton Pritchard, who's playing around like 15 or so minutes a game, maybe more, depending on how poorly Derek White plays. Or even have Derek White that you can look to at 7K. You have Gabe Vincent at 7K, who also will get the minutes, and then Martin at 65 as well. If you plug in Martin, you have 9,000 to get up to maybe Strus or somebody like that. So that's definitely possible as one approach. Another one, if you are looking to, instead of maybe going with Jaylen Brown, we could be looking at Marcus Smart at $12,000 or Al Horford, depending on the Robert Williams news. So if we put in Butler in the star position, then we can look how it looks with Marcus Smart. We have 87.50 now, so in this one, we can get to maybe like Max Strus at 9,000 at 85. Plug in Tucker, but I like how it looked with having Jaylen Brown and Tatum and Butler. Like those are the 3 most likely players to have the most fantasy points, I'd say. So those would be the 3 that I'd start with, and putting in Brown maybe in the star instead of Butler would probably make you look a little bit different and not tie with a lot of people. So that's definitely viable. And then you have a lot of cheap plays like here, like Tucker would be my favorite, and then I'd look at maybe Pritchard, Derek White, or we can maybe look to Oladipo if you wanted to pay up a little bit. But that's what I got for this one. Once again, these single games, not too much to dive into. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Best of luck today, and I'll see you all next time.